Thanks for choosing this free Anfield Index podcast. If you'd prefer to listen to this or any of our other shows without adverts, then now's the time to check out Anfield Index Pro. With AI Pro, you can supercharge your entire listening experience. You'll not only get all of our podcasts without the ads, but you'll have them far faster with our quick publish feature available exclusively for subscribers. AI Pro also puts you in the heart of our sound studio, with an option to listen to many of our shows live and interact with the podcasters in real time as the shows are recording. Upgrading couldn't be easier. AI Pro is available on all popular podcast platforms, and we have our own apps for Apple and Android. Just head on over to AnfieldIndexPro.com and get started today.
Hello everybody and welcome to the latest Anfield Index Under Pressure podcast. My name's Dan Kennett, and with me to analyse two fantastic Liverpool wins against Villareal and Newcastle, we have the full house. No, it's not Mr. Tandon this week, unfortunately, but he was just for 1 week only. He may make another guest appearance before the end of the season if you're all really lucky. But I do have the rest of the crew to help me with it. First of all, our resident data collection and video analyst, Mr. Daniel Rhodes. Good evening, Rhodesy.
How's it going, mate?
It's going well, mate.
It's going well. Football's going well.
You had a week off. You didn't collect Newcastle. Gags did it.
So. No, Gags did Newcastle, but yeah, Villareal was very interesting, and we'll come on to it.
Yeah, fun. Was it? Does it make it worthwhile when you have to rewatch a game like that in super slow-mo?
No, it's absolutely amazing when rewatching games. Semi-finals of Champions League, good pressing performances like that. It's amazing.
So we got some big numbers to talk about and the pressing for Villareal. And they have the dynamic duo. It's our most qualified sports scientist, Dr. Phil Barter from Middlesex University. Good evening, Phil.
How are we doing, boys? You all right?
Yeah, really good, mate. Really good. And he's back. He's here again. It's Mr. Simon Brundish, our most travelled veteran sports scientist and practitioner. I'd say the best word for Si. Even Si.
I hate the term practitioner, but I'm gonna do a bloody PhD just to shut you up.
Good.
I love it how he's added veteran now as well, Si. Veteran.
I didn't say grizzled veteran.
Oh, you're actually the oldest, though, aren't you? So,
no, I think you'll find no. Anyway, that's for another day. Anyway, we are going to talk about Liverpool 2, Villareal 0, and what was an absolutely emphatic win for the Reds in a European Cup semi-final. And let's start with the lineups and the rotation side, just very quickly on this one, because it was best part of a week ago for us. It was low maintenance, wasn't it, for us on this one?
Yeah, it was at the end of what we'd been doing, the low cycle, just specifically changing units of the pitch. So defender, midfielder, attacker, perfect. Away we go.
Boom. 4-3-3. The team is the team. Yeah.
Yeah. Bring in physical monsters and see how you cope with us.
Yeah.
I have a question, Si. When a team like Villareal who changed like 11 players, does that make a huge difference, or could they lose some kind of rhythm? You'd think changing all 11 and leaving them a week. I'm not sure.
Yeah, no, I don't think you're going to lose any rhythm in a week.
No.
I think you're more likely to, when I found anyway that when you change 5 or 6 and then you've got like first teamers that are playing with lads that have no idea where they're going to be stood, that can kind of unsync a team.
Yeah, that happened to us last year.
Yeah, quite a lot, didn't it?
Yeah.
Do you know what? Right, while we're just quickly doing this, I just want to point out that do you remember? Well, I think everyone probably remembers last year, but the injuries that we had last year.
Yes, the historic level of injuries.
Yeah.
An absolute historic level of injuries. So we had 245 games missed last year, and at this week of the season, we had 222 games missed at this week of the season last year.
Yeah.
And any guesses at the number we've got now?
130.
80.
147.
Lovely.
Wow.
And
Sounds
we've played 12 more games.
So yeah, almost like 40% less injury. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it was one of the things we said on the pre-season pod. He said the critical success factor for this season is just having a normal level of injuries and just having a normal level of VAR decisions as well. You know, big obvious things that needed to change from last year.
Yeah, and last year we had massive injuries to massive players, and as much as people will like Harvey, but this year of those 137 injuries, games missed of injury, we've got 59 of those are to players 18 and younger.
Oh, wow.
That's even bigger.
Wow.
So
all the fringe players
don't
at
have
best
the big players injured.
Yeah. I guess of the big players, is it Bobby who's got the most games lost?
Yeah, but was he even playing? No, the most games lost were 100% is Thiago, really.
Oh, right, okay. Oh, no, I mean, because he's had Bobby's had about 5 different injuries this season, hasn't he?
Bobby currently has had 3 different injuries, and he has missed 12. He's missed 13 Premier League games.
Yeah.
Thiago has missed 11 Premier League games.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for that, Si. Bart, you preview Villareal as always in the Under Pressure chat on Discord. How did this 4-4-2 and their game plan? How close was it to what you were saying there was likely to happen?
I think they play 4-4-2 98% of the time, so you know they're going to play 4-4-2. And I thought they've set up as a low block, which was expected. They try and give up very little in the XG department. Their big loss was Moreno, not the left back, the forward, Gerard. So they put in Greenfield and Chuck up top, which did have a significant impact on their play. They, just to give you an idea, Moreno normally has a receiving success of 75%. The 2 players who are up there against us have 50 and 42%. So therefore, their ability to hold the ball up and therefore build a platform for them to play and get out when they could get out wasn't there. And I think you saw that as Rhodesy was alluding to with the pressing performance. It just meant that they normally have a 48% possession. In this game, as we know, they're in the mid-20s or something like that, depending on who you're looking for. So their structure about normally having someone up front to play the ball into, to then it gets knocked back and then they can play, wasn't there. Yeah. So, and we also did very well at preventing the pass lanes, as we'll come on to. But yeah, no, I think overall, you know, their stats were, you know, they normally have a 13-game average of switches. They had 4. You know, we stopped through balls, we stopped them progressive passing. They only had 6. They normally double that at least. So yeah, I think that their game plan was to come in, sit in, defend well, and try and play those progressive through ball passes off Moreno up top without him being there. Their game plan.
Well, they absolutely destroyed Bayern on the break.
They did. But they had the player up front, right? They had the platform and they could play off him. So without that, you could argue, should he have changed it? But then what are his options to change it? That's how he knows to play football.
What did your preview tell us about the goalkeeper? Were you surprised it was Rulli?
Yes, that was a bit of a shock. And I have no insight of why he chose that keeper. But I don't know. Looking back at the reports, he's not, you know, he wasn't playing. It's just a bit of an odd decision to play him. But
is it just because his name's Geronimo?
Maybe he thought, yes, he's in, or he's played the last few. He thought I'll stick with him, but I can't. Yeah, a bit odd, a bit of an odd decision. But hey,
yeah, okay,
it favoured us.
Yeah, okay. Rhodesy, match summary, please, mate. Must be a dominant one.
It was probably not as dominant as it felt watching the game. It was 19 shots to 1, which was ridiculous. We had 12 unanswered shots, I think, maybe 13 in the first half before they had their only shot of the game, which it's got different values, but about 0.1, so they had a 10% chance. Obviously, it didn't hit the target. If we had 5 shots on target to 0, only 2 big chances. Mane had both of them. Scored one missed the header, which was harsh, but it definitely was, I would have said, a big chance. Yeah, this was the 3rd game in a row when we haven't conceded a big chance, and obviously we come to the Newcastle game and that happened again. So we've had 4 games in a row now without conceding one. It's huge numbers. It is absolutely huge numbers. That if we're just counting the Premier League and Champions League, we're just dropping to about 18 shots now. From the peak of 20, 6.5 shots on target a game, 3.6 big chances per game across both comps, 1.42 conceded. And yeah, it was about as dominant a semi-final performance as you could find. I think we also had a couple of chances, a couple of tight offsides that we did score, and they were obviously disallowed. So yeah, the models pretty much all agreed. They all had very much the same values. But this was kind of a game where it wasn't so much attacking domination for like loads of quality chances like we had 8 against Leeds. This was I thought a pressing domination where even because they weren't just lumping it like Everton, they were trying to pass out from the back. We were allowed to suffocate them, and the amount of pressing just in their half was something I've never seen before. It was unbelievable, just completely suffocated them.
Well, considering we had 73% of the ball, Rhodesy, which is just astonishing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that's large parts of the second half. They didn't want the ball either. They didn't seem to have an intent to even try and get it back off us. You just saw players just knocking it to each other backwards and forwards, waiting for someone to... We were trying to get them to come out a little bit more. But yeah, they have no ambition whatsoever, occasionally on the break. And obviously they just had the one shot. So yeah. They'll have to come out in the second leg as well tomorrow, so we might have more space to exploit.
Yeah. So, Si, the narrative before the game was all around they're going to sit deep, they're going to waste time, there's going to be try and frustrate Liverpool, low block, etc. And I was at the game, and it was a great atmosphere, first of all, but there was times when the crowd was getting frustrated with some of the antics that was going on. Maybe not quite as bad as the Everton game, to be fair. But how did you see the general pattern of play compared to that narrative, that prevailing narrative that was doing the rounds? In fact, probably, and when I watched it back on the commentary, that was what the narrative on the comms was as well. It was all about the time waste and all about taking stuff out of the game.
I thought the commentary and the whole Englishness of it was kind of bullshit, in that the way they were calling out Villareal for behaving like an away team was the absolute opposite of how they were talking about Everton, who were considerably worse and started time wasting way earlier than Villareal did. And the levels that like Everton's goalie were taking to hold the ball and then kick the ball was like double what the idiot in goal for Villareal was doing.
Yeah.
He couldn't throw it to us quicker. So I just thought...
You don't think they were that egregious?
I thought they were out of their depth at the thing they were trying to do, and they played the ball around a little bit too much amongst themselves at the back, whilst trying to navigate around our press, which was absolutely insane. For the first 20 minutes, they then started to try to clear the ball, and our second wave was just completely mopping them up, taking them out. And we were breaking really quickly and causing instability from the second wave of the press, where we were getting the ball. So if you think what happens when you clear the ball, they start to move forward, not in a way to attack, just to compress space. But as they're moving forward, we already win the ball back, and then they're having to turn around. So just by the nature of them physically having to turn around, it starts to create gaps. And that's how we were just penetrating straight through them. Honestly don't. I don't think I've ever seen such a volume of ridiculously quick turnovers. Like this is the ultimate gegenpressing. When Jurgen signed for us, and we got all these highlights of Goetze and Royce and Lewandowski pressing their nuts off, and Gundogan and the right winger, I can't remember what his name is. But like the clips of them gegenpressing over the course of 50 games, just the beautiful clips. We did this in one match.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I think that's the beginning and the end of the whole story. It started in the first minute, finished in the 90th minute. They had 6 touches in our final third.
Yeah.
In the whole match. I've never seen that.
In the third, in the final, never mind the penalty box.
Yeah, the final third. They had 6 touches in our final third. Successful touches.
Yeah.
That maps up to the pressing heat map as well. You can see it's all in their half. They couldn't get into our final third.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
This is the game where you guys get to talk about pressing more than any other game, because that is the entire story.
Yeah, it is. I was gonna actually just say, but as well as the pressing, I was gonna bring Barts in as one of the other themes of the season is set plays, and yet again, Barts, we seem to be just chipping away right at the start of the game in the first 20 minutes with just a series of corners and getting half chances, and but we were still getting shots away from these. We were yet again, it was a constant source of pain to our European opponents, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's a horrible intangible, but yeah, it is the consistent getting a shot away from first or second phase and then getting another corner, and it's going. You're under that pressure straight away. I mean, they flipped the ends, didn't they, as well?
Yeah.
So they decided to defend the Kop in the first half, and then we've got them in the first sort of 15. Couple of corners, Mane's hit a header wide and missed one. You know what I mean? It's that pressure really built on them, which is an intangible. I accept that, but you're right. Our themes of really clever set plays, creating opportunities to shoot, we're all there to see in the first 15. It was Canate knocked down to Mane and he miscontrols it in the first 5.
Yeah.
And you just think.
He looks in, doesn't he? He looks like
it looks in. It looks like a tap in, and if that goes in, I mean, Si's right. The story it is the pressing, but they were, considering they thought they were going to be the bigger than switch ends. We absolutely had them in the first 15 of that set piece in chance, another chance, and then they're not bad chances. They're good XG chances. So
just keep chipping away, basically.
Get chipping away, and then their desperation to get out grows, because you can't, and then we come back again. We win the ball, nick it, and we come back again, create another bit of XG, and it just grows. And that does feed into them, feeds into the way they play.
Just from a stats perspective, right? You can't. I think a really good analog for the pressure that we created is that they did 111 kilometers and only passed the halfway line 6 times. So they did 111 kilometers, which is above Premier League average for a whole match, in one half of the pitch.
And exactly in the half we put into playing.
Their pulse was beating out of their eyeballs. That's why we were able to cause this level of instability. We didn't create one-on-ones a lot or anything, but it was just incessant pressure. They couldn't think.
Yeah. So, Rhodesy, let's come to you. You had the pleasure of collecting this one. I've already put all the images about I think about 3 days ago into the Under Pressure chat for this, so everybody's had a good chance to look at this all before we go. What were the main stories? Let's take it in max in chunks. Let's say the first 20 minutes or so. What did you see were the main stories as in that period, and what were you seeing in our traps, in our triggers, and everything like that? Talk us through what you found.
But I've just put a pressing chain in, and it's kind of a lovely encapsulation of what happened in the story of the game. There's a pressing chain of 7, but there were lots of different chains. There's lots of people backing each other up. So it's having an organisation, like Si said, you've got that first phase where you've got your front three on their defence and the holder. But then if our midfield and our centre backs were pushing up high, and our full backs were also as high as they have been all season, it's just the organisation to be marking that play, and it's not tight, it's not touch tight or anything, because they're trying to do it, like you say, they try and do it with little traps, they try and nicking the ball off you. And the story of this game, Dan, is definitely the amount of possession wins. Just like Si was saying, they're the highest we've had, 60. I mean, didn't we just break the record recently? It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Not only that, it's 60 possession wins with the highest amount of high zone presses as well. 50% in their final third.
50% of the pressing in the Villareal third in a semi-final.
They could not. And like I was saying, look at the amount of distance we're having to cover just to try and stop us from having much clearer chances than we did manage to create in the first half. Like you say, it was lots of half chances, like 10% shots, but no real big ones, apart from the Mane header. And all of it came from just this suffocation. We've seen games where we've failed, and them are the ones you should always kind of refer to, the ones where teams have created plenty of big chances against us, like the Carabao Cup, where there was missing links in being able to do this. So you had players in midfield who were either committing too far forward or sitting too deep, and teams were just able to pass out and pass through us. In this one, they had no chance. We didn't give them. We didn't create much, not 0.23 XG. But we did create kind of everything through the press.
Yeah.
The highest amount of high value wins, or a very high amount.
Yeah. So just
quality efficiency as well, Dan.
Exactly. What I was going to say was that we've talked on other shows about volume. We've talked on other shows about the XG from the press, but we've always had some things as well. This wasn't quite right. This was pretty much across the board good. First of all, in terms of the Papa chart, the possession adjusted. For intensity, it's the most intense full match we've ever collected, and this is the 304th match that Gags or Rhodesy has collected, which is astonishing. When you look at that whole match, that Papa chart, never seen anything like that right at the top of the red zone for the whole match, and we're finishing the match, the last half an hour, at the very, very top of the red zone, which is just nuts. We've never seen that before. This was the second highest pressing efficiency of the season, 91.3. Early on in the season, Rhodesy was doing loads of shows talking about there was just gaps appearing, presses being missed, and players being taken out, and then the opposition were on us. But this was a really high pressing efficiency. It was the second highest percentage of in pressing chains as well, which is always a good sign of the team working as a synchronized unit. And the proportion of high value wins, 34.8%. That's the second highest of the season as well. And as Rhodesy mentioned, it's a new record of possession wins. So 65 including the shots, 65 possession wins including the shots. In what was the ball in play time would have probably been about 60 minutes, Rhodesy, maybe 55. Yeah. Which is it's just fantastic.
We've had two other games this season where we've had a similar percentage of high value actions, hasn't we? The Brentford home game and the
Newcastle home game as well. Yeah,
Newcastle home game. Yeah,
it's worth knowing, Darth. We did all of this. They only had the ball for about 25 minutes. Do you know what I mean? You're saying it's one of the greatest pressing performances we've ever had. We've seen performances like this before. You guys have talked about it against City, some of the old games, the really heavy, intense pressing shows, which was we had the ball to a decent amount, but they had the ball for around 25 minutes in this game, and we produced these numbers. That's astonishing. That really is astonishing. And yes, we made sure that we were in there. We made them play in their half of the pitch, which makes it easier for us, obviously. But still, that amount of pressing to break those figures in about 25 minutes, opportunity to do that is phenomenal. We always talk about opportunity. Yeah, but they've done it with a really small amount of opportunity to do it.
Yeah, this is true. And in the chart which I put in, the data viz chart, the top right one is the pressing chain, and that's as good as it gets. There's really strong connections there, centre of the pitch, all round from the centre circle up to the penalty spot. Big long chains and groups of planes right in central areas. And then the spacing in the bottom left, the average position, is really strong as well. Salah, Mane and Diaz nicely spaced, with the 3 centre midfielders all kind of narrower than the 3 forwards. But if you look at the bottom right chart, which is the individual press events, the ones you want to look for there are the light coloured circles, which are the counter-attacks, the dark blue coloured circles, which are the direct possession wins, more akin to a tackle, and the dark ones, which are the shots. And there's so much in that left wing and left half space quadrant, which is I wanted to talk to you, Rhodesy, about Diaz and Thiago, because if there's one player, do you remember the Diaz pod after he signed, Rhodesy? The one thing we said was, we don't know what he's going to be like on the pressing, because we haven't got anything on that. But he was outrageous, wasn't he? On the pressing.
If the team had 34% of high value wins, he had 11 high value presses just from 24. So nearly half of his pressures in this game were high value. We win the
or regain, of some kind, yeah.
It's huge. And you can see there three of the top 4 in terms of just volume with the front 3. So that shows you how high it was. And then you had it all backed up by your Thiago's. Your Henderson was much better in this game. Whereas that's got to be one of his better efficiencies this season.
Definitely.
We've had him at 70%, haven't we?
Yeah.
And that's the point. If you've got players who've got the efficiency and they're all doing it together, so they're all in sync, and you're getting the high value wins, it's just a perfect combination of what you're looking for. And yeah, it honestly, because of the amount of time, because Gags or you were saying, they've only got 27% possession, it shouldn't be that difficult.
It was quite an easy one.
And it definitely wasn't. And for the players to come on, Origi was going a bit mad when he came on in terms of his pressing.
All the subs went mad because we kept it going, right? So Jota had high numbers, Keita had high numbers, Origi had high numbers. Yeah. It was just constantly, just right to the final whistle, wasn't it? We weren't prepared to give him a moment.
No. And that takes them doing, and that obviously the subs, having more subs helps. I think it's got to, hasn't it? So you'd think so, wouldn't you?
5 subs, yeah.
Keeps them fresh, yeah. And keeps us able to rotate.
Also, the quality of the subs. Absolutely,
yeah.
Do you know what? Can I just set something up for you for the rest of your pressing, right? I talk a lot about like stability and what we do in possession leads to how we get to gegenpress. Right? And I think this is a good moment to talk about the genius that is Thiago. And the things is there any surprise that our pressing is so great because Thiago is playing, or when Thiago is playing? And we might talk about how much he presses, right? But that's not the key to this. The key to this is the control that he offers, so that we are set. When he makes a pass, we are already set to counter, to Gegen on whatever that on the direction of that pass. So if he loses possession in a moment where we can go, when we're really well set to go and win it back. But he doesn't actually lose possession very much anyway, because he's a fucking monster. Another 96% possession, passing accuracy in this game, whilst having 513 meters of progressive distance.
It's not easy passes either, is it? He's making really difficult, intricate passes and still manages to do it all the time.
He currently has in the last 5 games, that's the highest rate of anyone in Europe in progressive passes per game. The difference between April Thiago and what we've seen of him before is 148% increase in the volume of progressive passing meters compared to before. Yeah. So he has accepted the role he's taken. He has grown within that to become this new visionary attacking force that we didn't have before. 15. He averages 14.5 progressive passes a game in the last 3 matches. The last 4 matches, including the terrible one, relatively terrible ones after this. And no Liverpool midfielder has more than 8, not average, more than 8 in a game against any of the top 6 sides in Europe in the last 5 years.
So talking about Thiago is quite a nice segue there, because I think it's directly related to what the question I was going to ask you guys is that we have been collecting pressing stats for Kloppo for 6 years now and looking at matches, and we've seen some astonishing performances. But we are seeing in the outputs of our pressing, we're seeing numbers in the last 3-4 months that we haven't seen before, even under Klopp and some of the great teams that we've had. What do you think it is that is allowing this team to scale these new heights? And we've already been elite, and we're like taking it to a new level of elite. Now, my theory here is that I want to ask you. You can tear it to shreds if you want. Is that we're more now, not so much heavy metal, but it's more akin to Pep's Barcelona, where you have so much control that you can put even more effort into the short amount of time when you don't have the ball. How much? Can I come to you, Bart, first on this? I mean, you were quite interested by the question, I thought. So have you had time to ruminate on it?
I have, and I was saying to Rhodesy, when I've got time, I will run it through the black box. But I do think there is something in that, in the fact that, as Si said, that element of control means we're set better. We also keep the ball. I mean, our passing accuracy, our percentage, our possessions are all, we've noted this before, it's been creeping up. So, yes. And as we've just said in this game, the opposition are in possession of the ball for less time.
Yeah.
And I will need to look at that trend over a longer period than the last few games, obviously, to be data accuracy. But I would suggest it's completely, that is a very strong hypothesis, and I would be very surprised if we don't prove that with number crunching it, because if you only have to defend for, let's say, 25, 30 minutes of a 90-minute game, we're playing the higher line. I mean, that's our strength, that's our choice. Yeah, we're forcing them to play in a smaller part of the pitch because of our element of control, and we are set up better because we have that control. Then it should all fall into place that we are then ultra efficient at the pressing we are set up to do if we do lose it, and in a shorter period of time. It's also to note that, is it in 3 of the 4 competitions we've been in, we've had 5 subs?
Yeah.
So the like you just said, in this game, the subs came on and nothing dropped.
No.
And the quality of players come on has also changed. Yeah. So previously we've only had 3 changes, and the quality of player hasn't been there as well. Yep. And a lot of these guys that are coming on know the system. Yeah, they've been playing. Even if Naby comes on for Thiago, because he's Klopp uses rhythm, doesn't he? Quite a lot. He's been playing. He's got his minutes. He knows his role. They're all set on their roles. Even the front 3 we spoke about, the different roles. They all now know what they need to do when they come on. I mean, Origi was Origi, right? But he still did some bits. Yeah. And it's easier in a shorter period of time. You're asking them to come on. Go on in. Go and do that role to the best of your ability, and our numbers don't drop. So yeah, I would be really surprised when we properly number crunch it, that hypothesis that because we're reducing the amount of time that we are without the ball, and we are having more control, we can play further up the pitch, and we are set better, that has led to a more efficient pressing, and I would say more opportunity to counter perhaps as well.
I love that Phil's got a black box down. I wonder how many times me and Graham say during the season, run it through the black box.
Si, anything to add on that one? Your thoughts on this?
Didn't I already answer it?
Okay.
Before you asked the question.
Oh yeah. I just wanted to see if anything you wanted to add to what Bart said, but yeah, that's fine. One of the phrases that you've used a lot this season, but not recently, is that the skipper has been playing with his hair on fire. And it's maybe his thinning thatch now has mean that there's not so much hair to go on fire, but he's definitely not playing like that in the last run of games, as he say. And he was, all those things that Bart said, he was definitely a big contributor in this game, right?
Yeah, he's playing the role instead of playing Ray Royce.
Roy Race.
A historic reference there.
Shoot magazine.
Yeah, so he is instead of trying to be the man, he's being a cog, and he is really good cog. Just do that thing, and he is, and I think it kind of coincides with his reduced role, let's say. So he's not playing every minute. He is very often the first sub, and he is very much part of the rotation, and he's doing his job, and it's great. Long may it continue.
So it's more equitable generally. Yeah. Okay.
Sorry. Do you think he's actually understood his body a bit as well? So physically, we're knowing. That's what I'm saying. But I'm saying maybe he's understood that actually he can't do that anymore.
But he's not physically doing any less. He's
you
just
don't think? Okay, I thought he was. He's not, so he's doing more smart with what he can do.
I just don't think he's making the same choices with the ball.
Okay. Okay.
87% pass completion in this game, say.
Yeah.
I got the wrong sheet. It's better than it was, but it's still. I think maybe we're even reading too much into it, right? In that it was 82%, which is fine. It's been 68% in other games. 80, it's all right. And if he's the more proactive 80 is absolutely fine as long as one of your lads has become Ginny, but with the pass of Zidane.
Yeah.
So we might be just talking about other stuff, but the actual thing is Thiago.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure, absolutely. And we spent a whole pod with Gags
talking
about Thiago.
That he's brilliant. My point is that maybe it's his influence on the rest of the team. So instead of Hendo running across the pitch to take a ball off with the centre back from 2 feet away, he's staying in his role because Thiago's getting it.
Yeah.
And Thiago's dominating possession. We've never had a player dominate possession before when Hendo was on the pitch.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fair.
Absolutely. Can I ask you a quick question about Diaz? Now, I know we all think he's got a little bit of improvement to make on his shooting and stuff like that at the sharp end of his game, but he's been at the club for 4 months, just coming up to 4 months now. Are you surprised how well he's slotted in tactically and into the whole Gagan side of things and his physical side of things? Because he's been such a roaring success. What do you attribute that to in with your sports science hat on?
I think we picked a lad that does a thing that we already did.
So profiling.
Yeah, we asked him to do. We've asked him to change as little as possible, and it's as close to the role that Mane has been playing.
Yeah. Okay,
and
brilliant.
I think he has this. So he's doing the same job that we've seen Mane do. His finishing is slightly worse than Mane. His instincts around the box are slightly worse than Mane's, but his involvement in the build-up play is slightly better than Mane's, and his chasing with his hair on fire stuff is his
intensity is amazing, isn't it? Yeah, his intensity is unbelievable. Yeah.
What's his rate of high value presses compared to Mane in that role? Obviously, got a huge sample for Mane, but
I think they will be good. I'll run some numbers after it, but I think they would be pretty impressive.
Yeah.
A good one. I'll add it to the list, Rhodesy. One of the pressing one I did want to ask you about, Rhodesy, was we talked about, as I always drew people's attention to the left-hand side of the press mat with all the wins and stuff, and a big part of that was the targeting of Giovanni Lo Celso. Now, did you watch the Bayern game, Villareal Bayern? Because Lo Celso basically looked like the second coming of Maradona in that tie, the way he played against Bayern. He looked amazing. Obviously, players that
it didn't look like that in this game, Robert.
No, he was absolutely terrorised in this match, wasn't he?
Yeah, Robertson. Was it 8 on Lo Celso and how many possession wins? Is it
6? 6. He had 8 targets on Lo Celso and 6 possession wins. That's just unbelievable. Wow. And we had as a team, we had 24 targets on Lo Celso and 10 possession wins. Do you think he was actively targeted? Because Gags always used to try and highlight where we thought we had a bunny, we targeted a weak link there, or do you think it was just that he was out there out ball and then we just absolutely the second wall, as you called it, just hammered him
against Bayern? He looked so good against Bayern, and that's why they were playing through him, because he was amazing at doing it. He had the control. He was the guy that their play was going through, and we just completely tied it. And we were backed up as well. So if Diaz was winning the ball a lot, and Robertson was back behind him, I'd like to know how many they did in groups. But then you also had Thiago, like we said, coming in just behind him. So even when he was trying to make the pass, he couldn't. So if we didn't get it directly off him, and we did that a few times, we were getting it the second time. It give the ball away like half the time. I saw him pressing against us. It was that bad. And we made him look that bad. And you can't just do that with one player. One player can't just target. To get the most efficiency and the best results from Gagan, you have to do it as in groups. You have to attack in packs. You have to be organised and not, like we were saying about Henderson, just chasing around. He wasn't doing that. And they were doing it. The same was happening on the other side. Let's be fair. Salah, Henderson and Trent.
I was going to ask you, just asking about actually to talk about Mo, the last individual I just wanted to talk about, because he almost exclusively focused on the left back and the centre back, but he had 100% efficiency. He just constantly harassed them and pushed them back, and working very much as part of a chain, Rhodesy. Exactly
that. And now, I wonder what's the highest volume of presses in a game that has had 100% efficiency.
Yeah, I'd say it's going to be close. If there's 22 he had this game, that's going to be up there. Maybe I reckon you might get to mid-20s. But that's tremendous, isn't it?
Because usually, if a player's getting targeted, like Lo Celso was on one side, a clever side would then go, okay, let's build it through the left-hand side of our team rather than because he's not getting out there. But then if they were doing that and then Mo gets 100% efficiency, it's just like, oh, there's nowhere to go.
Yeah, he's like Mo was basically just
it's fab. Oh my god,
he was just shutting down the left side of their defense completely. They had nowhere to go. Yeah, brilliant. Okay, so they get to half time somehow. And then second half, we come out and it looks visibly, Rhodesy, like we stepped it up a level again in that period after half time.
It's hard to say that we stepped it up a level after the performance that we put in the first half. It really is. I'm not sure it was any kind of noticeable level. I thought it was the increase was coming. I thought we were better. Building through to get chances. I thought we were working the ball a little bit faster than we were in the first half. But on the pressing, it was relentless for 90 minutes, Dan. I don't think there was any drop particular. Maybe a tiny one, like Si said, for the last 15, 20 minutes of the first half. But other than that, it was constant the whole time. And obviously, we started to create the chances as well.
Yeah. So should we talk about the opening goal, Barts? Does it originate from the Diaz header?
I think it does. Yeah, I'm just checking the notes. Where have the notes gone? Sorry.
Diaz gets a header in open play, doesn't he? Gets a cross come in.
Yeah, and it comes back. We recycle it out to Hendo down the right hand side, who clips the ball in like a normal, not quite a normal Hendo clip. I actually think it's a good cross. Yeah, flicks off a defender, and then the keeper does something absolutely bonkers, and it ends up in the back of the net. The thing that annoyed me about this goal was on the commentary, they were moaning that it was basically a bit of luck. Now, I'm not saying it wasn't lucky that the defender and the goalkeeper mucked it. If you look at the image, they're still there. We've got 3 players unmarked for that ball. So if the defender doesn't touch it, we're scoring anyway. Yeah,
he was putting it right into the hot zone, wasn't he?
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, it's sort of the point, and this is the thing. I watch CBS for the games, but they've still on Henry adamant that this was a lucky goal, and we shouldn't have won. Not shouldn't have won, but we got it opened the door up for a lucky in a moment. And I'm like, no, it was good play. We won the ball. We recycled it back round. Hendo puts a good cross in. The defender flicks off a defender. All right, that's a bit lucky, and it goes in. But if the defender doesn't touch it, Mane or Diaz is heading that in the back of the net.
I agree.
And it's 1-0. So I just that's the thing where I think if you look at the act, that's using your eyes. Look at it and go, yeah, that's a goal scoring opportunity we've created there. And the luck is it's gone off the defender, but say the be. But no, I thought it was good play. Pretty much it epitomises what we were doing. I did think coming out, as I've just put time graphs in there, we stepped up our passes and touches a minute a little bit straight after half time. Went up by 4 passes a minute, which doesn't sound a lot, but could be. Touches went up 3 a minute. So I thought we stepped our intensity a little bit up straight after half time. And our shots per minute went up as well. So went up by nearly 2.5. So, yeah, we just came out really hot, if you like. But then I think you were saying, were you worried at half time? I wasn't worried at all. I just think we sped up and increased that intensity. And this period of time where we scored 2 goals was a symptom of that, really.
Yeah. And Si, this was a classic 1-2 sucker punch, wasn't it? Like Anfield European night, crowd was going nuts, and then we're swarming all over them again, Si, and then an absolute genius through ball and a lovely finish.
Yeah, I think what we did in the second half, we had some really good vertical movement from the forwards. The vertical rotation was much better. Dropping deep and one at speed. So somebody was sprinting off the back four and somebody was sprinting behind them at the same time, and that caused the disruption amongst their line, and it enabled us to get through and create these literal 2 opportunities that led to the goals. Mo dribbled off the touchline, I think, originally to create the instability. Played a 1-2 with Mane, but he didn't get him back, and he sprinted beyond, which got into the brain of their big dickhead Grok centre back, the ball got laid back to Mane, and he played, and Mo came back deep. And Albiol had no idea what to do with him, and then eventually he came out to press him. Mane ran to fill the space, and then Mo brilliantly slipped it through his legs.
Yeah. Yep. And then Mane puts it under the keeper, doesn't he? I think. Yeah. It was
just
classic.
Got toe to it, didn't he? It was just one of those moments you just get toe to it. He just beat the keeper, who was shocking. Keeper was absolutely shocking. Yeah.
And Rhodesy, we've already mentioned the subs, but a couple of things were you a little bit disappointed we couldn't get a third there to really kill it off? Was it the Diaz chance? Do you thought was maybe the Diaz one was the best one?
Diaz chance, his shot, it just deflects wide for a corner, isn't it? It just clips off. Looks like it is going in. Yes, a little bit. I think that would have been a more fair reflection.
Yeah, I think so too.
Dominance, but especially in terms of the sheer volume of shots that we had. And I'm interested what difference that might have made to the changes that we saw for the Newcastle game. Could we have just then gone a bit stronger for that game and then rested and then planned to rest?
For the second leg, yeah.
I really like to when we're at home. So if we'd have won 2-0 away, you get that half-pregnant thing, don't know what to do. 2-0 and we've got to go away in the second leg. We've got to go and win. And we're great at that. We're rubbish at the other stuff.
Yeah, I think it removes the element of worrying about it. We've got to go get a result over there. So
yeah.
You can't even subconsciously think it's done. You've got to go and win, and we go and win. Okay, fair play. Go and play your best player against our best player. See how that works. Exactly the same as in this game. If you're putting Lo Celso against Thiago, good luck, suckers.
Yeah. A couple of highlights from me, Rhodesy, was the Virgil van Dijk counter press on the left wing on about the 80th minute. I don't but we always say that Virgil doesn't need to sprint, right? He very rarely sprints in a match, but he actually did a full-on sprint to close the guy down and gagging it, didn't he?
I wish UEFA would release the numbers on that top speed, because I bet he reached close to his top speed in that one. That was
he doesn't. Yeah.
Oh, they did.
Oh, have they got it? Have you got it? Have you got the UEFA?
Yeah. Diaz had top speed in this game, 33.4. Mo was 32.8. Virgil was 30.5.
Okay.
So it's got a little bit more left.
So fifth gear, is that say?
Yeah, it's not even that great.
Yeah. But yeah, it was just, I just thought that sums it up really. We're camped that far inside their half and completely dominant. They can't get out. So Verge is just going to do some gegenpressing in the final third, and then he blams one from 35 yards. So the keeper almost makes a Horlicks off, doesn't he?
He does, yeah. Nearly panned it out to Diaz.
Anyway, any more on Villareal, chaps?
I thought Jota deserves a lot of conversation in this because I thought he was brilliant. I think we've been critical, if that's a fair term. It's all relative of his play as a 9, and I thought it was his best game as a 9. I think he's. My feeling is that he's actually better at it than Mane is, though. There's a big Mane love fest at the moment because he was really good in one game. So Jota was fantastic in linking, much better than he has been, and he was doing the tracking back and filling in the right holes, and he was an absolute threat. He had 4 shots. He created 1 brilliant shot on his own. If it wasn't Jota, he probably would have been criticised for a couple of choices that he'd made. But like when you've scored 24 goals in a season, you're going to take those selfish choices to score. And as I said, I prefer to have a 2-0 win and have to go and win than 3 and think you're done.
I think you're right. So his receiving success in this game was one of his highest at 90 odd. So that's brilliant for him because I've been critical of him. He's been around 60. And 50. So for him to actually do that part of his game really well, which is what we need in the 9, I think Si's spot on.
I think Jota and Diaz are opposite ends of the spectrum. Diaz gets more love than he deserves, more love than he's earned. Jota gets less, and they actually overlap with a lot of the stuff that they do. And currently, the stuff Jota does actually wins us games right now as well. So I just wanted to have a little bit of extra Jota love.
Well, we'll have a little bit of Jota love here as well, because one thing what did happen in this match is that we had our 3rd player of the season reach 20 goals, and all actually 20 non-penalty goals. And this is actually a pretty big deal, which we'll come on to in a minute. But just some love for Sadio Mane. So this is 4th time Sadio's got 20 goals for Liverpool. His best season is 26. So he's had 114 shots this season, 3.1 per 90, which is Jota's at 3.2, Salah's at 3.9. He's got his 20 goals from 19.2 expected. His conversion rate is the second best in the team, 17.5%. Jota is at 18.9%. He's got 13 with his right foot, 5 with his left, 2 with his head, and his average distance from goal is 12.9 metres, which is also the second best in the team behind Jota with 11.7. So pretty good stuff from Sadio. But the real value add stuff here, Si, and you've done some old-fashioned research on this is a really rare thing to have a team with 3 20-goal players.
It is, unless you're in Spain. In England, it's quite a big deal that basically it had not been done between 1988. No, it had not been done between 1982 and 2013. So the great Liverpool side that no one talks about, with Rush, Dalglish and Terry McDermott. And then it was done by the City side that beat us with Aguero. They didn't even have 3; they had 4. Aguero, Dzeko, Yaya, and Negredo all got more than 20 that season. And then City have gone on to do it 3 times since, and we have done it for this. This is the second time that we have done it under Klopp.
Yeah. But this is the third. All of those 3 you mentioned, the early '80s one with Terry McDermott, they were all non-penalty goals as well, right? Even without pens from Kenny, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was Neil. Yeah. Well, Mo scored 6 penalties, but he scored
24. The 24 for Mo, 21 for Jota, and 20 for Sadio.
Well, Mo's got 34 this season, but yeah,
24 non-penalties.
So he's well over 20 either way.
Yeah. But yeah, so not many other teams do this in England, so it's a pretty big deal. But yeah, loads of Barcelona and Real Madrid instances. But yeah, that's for stuff.
Neymar, Messi, Suarez, and what was the Real Madrid ones? Benzema, Ronaldo.
Oh God! But the Real Madrid just do it. Basically, Ronaldo does it all the time. So Ronaldo, Benzema, Bale did it in 13-14. Ronaldo, Benzema, Higuain, who might be the most underrated player in the last 20, did it in 11-12. They did it in 13, 14 as well. And then Messi has done it in 9, 10, 10, 11, 14, 15, 15, 16, 16, 17, 08, 09 as well with Messi, Eto'o and Henry. Messi, Eto'o, Henry was the first time it had happened in Spain ever. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 11 times since.
Wow. And is the most goals from a front three the Suarez, Messi, Neymar? Is that the most ever from a single?
Let me look. I'd have thought so. 95, 98. Yeah, oh god, yeah. So Messi, 54, Suarez 36, and Neymar 20. So that's 110.
Yeah.
54 goals.
Oh no, Suarez, Messi, Neymar.
When Suarez got like 50 odd. Jesus.
Jeez, man.
In 15-16, 131 with 73 assists between them.
Jesus, man.
200.
Oh, my word.
They're quite good.
Yeah, and our best is 91. Just as a
and just a little tip of the cap to Harry Kane, the prick. And Dele Alli and Son did it in 16.
Yeah, Dele Alli. Remember Dele Alli, kids? 22 goals in 2017. Yeah, good God.
Jeez.
Yeah, what happened? Whatever happened to that kid?
So just for reference, not even Barnes, Beardsley, Aldridge managed it, or Barnes, Russian Beardo.
Wow. Okay. Right, let's talk about Newcastle 0, Liverpool 1. And the only place to start with this game, Si, is that team sheet. There was a little bit of a collective losing of the minds from the fan base. I do find this quite amusing now, considering how many times do we have to turn doubters into believers? But go on, talk us through that team sheet and what your thoughts on it were from the sports science perspective.
5 changes that we changed all the players that were running above their career averages of chronic load. It's genius of the sports science variety. People don't quite get it, but we have some really, really, really good players. Like, you can question the choice of bringing Milner in instead of whoever you want to bring in, Harvey. That I think most people would. Most online fans would have said Harvey because of the great love they have from him from the beginning of the season, and everyone loves a kid. CJ probably deserved it a little bit more, but he's been ill. So Milner was next in line, and Ox is a carcass, I think, at this point. And so Milner came in and he played well. So he
definitely seems to be out of favour compared. He's the only one who's not getting any minutes at all now, isn't he?
Taki.
Taki as well, yeah.
Taki's got 10 goals this season.
Yeah.
Like just quickly to go back to, you're always taking the pens off Mo. That Mo's the only one of the attackers that hadn't scored in any of the Mickey Mouse Cups. Jota's got 6 goals in the Mickey Mouse. So anyway, back to this game instead of defending Mo's honour. What can you argue with resting Trent, bringing Gomez in, who was magnificent? One of the 5 changes was Matip the starter coming back in, and Naby Keita, who has been a starter for the large part of the last 6 weeks, coming back in, and then you just got Mo can't play every second of every game.
No, not even he. Yeah, but so Bart, you scouted Newcastle before the game. How did their actual lineup and game plan correspond with what you were kind of expecting?
So I think I said that Eddie had started to play 4-1-4-1 out of possession. It comes up, the average of that is 53%, and I know that's kind of like 4-3-3, but it's sort of out of possession in possession type thing. So that's for me how they lined up, mainly 4-1-1. The changes for them, which it's a weird thing when you do a scouting report, it gives you who's played in the position the most over a period of time. So on that, a lot of the players who started weren't a shock. But if you look at the previous games, there were a lot of changes. So Woods dropped out for being up front. Willett came into midfield. Joe Linton went to left wing. Maximin went up front. Lacastells came out of defence, and I can't remember his name. Schur, is it? Came in.
Yeah.
And then Eric's player Shelby came in at 6, and Longstaff dropped out of midfield. And Almiron and Murphy, they seemed to sort around a bit, but Almiron came in at right wing. So it kind of went with what the players who played those positions the most, apart from the big obvious one that was a bit of a change from what they had been doing, is Maximin up front. Woods has been playing. But so the midfield three were the new Bruno, Shelby, and Willock as a 3. It meant that Bruno was up against Milner and Willock was up against Naby, which I think people were worried about, but I don't think they needed to be that much. As Si said, Milner actually played pretty well. And Hendo in the 6, as we've said before, against the right opposition, he can do a job. And today he did, not today, but the Newcastle game, he did a very good job of playing that session. In terms of Newcastle, what effect did it have on them? Their progressive passes were down, their progressive distance was down, their switches of play were about the same, and their through balls were obviously down because they got none. So, I think our tactical setup nullified them. I would have been interesting. The move to put Joe Linton out to left wing, I wonder whether they were thinking that he could dominate Trent there.
Right.
And then when Trent wasn't there, they still went ahead with the game plan, if you get what I mean. So I just wonder, because Linton had been playing as one of the 3 in midfield. Right. So for him to go out to left wing was quite a big change for Eddie to do that. That was just when I was looking at it going, right, because the media put it up as 4-3-3. I was like, that's not a lot about that. So they didn't. But no, I thought generally it was what I thought it is. It's just a few players were in slightly different positions. I'd imagine St. Maximin's pace up front, they thought for some reason when they were sat deeper than they had been doing, they could hit on the counter with Maximin, just as a thought. I think that's probably what they thought they were trying to do. But as we'll come on to it, didn't really work. Yeah.
Rhodesy, match summary, please, mate. Another strong one I am hoping for.
It's another strong one. It's one of the most dominant in terms of lack of conceding chances that we've ever seen. 24 shots to 4, only 0.2 XG for them. No big chances, and amazingly no shots in the box for the opposition, which is only the 4th time under Klopp that we've ever had that. We had it against Brighton. We had it against Palace. I think it might have been the 7-0. But then we also had it
21.3 metres was their closest shot.
We also had it against Newcastle earlier this season. So Newcastle haven't had a shot in our box this season, which is madness. 10
amazing.
Shots on 2.3 non-penalty XG in our favour. Maybe it could have been 3 big chances. We had 3 chances with an XG value over 0.3 on understat. The Diaz one on 83. The Jota from the through ball from Milner was 0.31. And then obviously the Naby chance went down at 0.94, which is mad. Although he was incredibly close to the line. So yeah, it's about... Newcastle, I thought, were going to give us more of a game than this. The scoreline doesn't reflect the performance. We should have put them to bed a lot earlier, I thought. Our season numbers in terms of the XG, 538, I was the highest at 2.54, and Kaylee has got us at the best defence at 0.84. All of them are about 1.45 XG difference, which we've never seen. So yeah, if we have a big chance fest for the last 4 games. We usually have a lot of big chances in the Spurs game, although obviously they have some. They usually have a couple as well. In fact, that was the last time we conceded more big chances than we created. And yeah, they're just... How this finished 1-0, I'll never know. Because Newcastle had less intent than Everton and Villareal. Or maybe not Everton, but they didn't test... Alisson, and like I say, four games in a row now, 1 in Europe and 3 in the league without conceding a big chance, which is
tremendous.
Never happened.
Absolutely tremendous. Now, Si, we laud Eddie Howe on this pod. He's long-standing our favourite manager because even in the early days of Klopp, the gegenpressing was always best when we played Bournemouth. So, what did you see with this game? Because it was quite comfortable despite the scoreline. Pretty dominant in those stats that Rhodesy just outlined. What similarities did you see with Eddie Howe's previous teams, and what was different this time around?
I didn't see many similarities with Eddie's previous teams, to be fair. I thought he tried to be really pragmatic, and they set up to maybe Barts was right about attacking the right back, but I don't think it's Trent. I just think that everybody tries to attack us down that way, one way or the other.
Because it's not Virgil's side.
Yeah. And they just put Joelinton out there to launch the ball to him. Like, the most common pass in their game was Dubravka to Joelinton, and he just kept losing the ball. Joe Gomez is quite good in the air too. At one point, they even flipped Matip and Joe Gomez. So when they had set possession, Matip would go out there to make sure he got Joelinton. And it totally nullified them, and we had total domination of the ball. They had 3 touches in our box. I don't care what they say. If you get caught offside 4 times in our box, that counts as 7. So they actually had 3 touches in our box the whole game. They created absolutely nothing. We created lots. We were rampant. We should have scored 4, 5, or 6.
Yeah, we should.
We just made some bad choices and some terrible finishing. Mane's. I know this is me going on about Mane, but two matches. Diaz is flashing his knickers without actually doing the thing that wins us matches, and stop doing no look passes. Make sure the pass goes in the exact spot you need it to.
And then Jota, when he has his one, he just blams it straight at the keeper, doesn't he? He goes for power, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Now, Barts, the thing I liked about this match was I thought it was a microcosm of our whole campaign. All the themes that we've talked about throughout the season were all in evidence big time in this game. So, catching the opposition offside, the high line, shots from set plays and set pieces. Clean sheets. This was like the greatest hits album, wasn't it? For Klopp's Liverpool.
I was, and I think also the midfield worked.
Yeah, they were great.
They were great. I mean,
the passing network's really nice, isn't it?
Passing network's really well. I mean, I'll chuck in the image I did before pre-pod, which might show something if I can get it to work. But it's sort of we worked really well as a unit. Navigate went and did his thing that he's doing now. If you look here, our right half space, we pressed their left half space, which was their predominant area. So it matches up. If you start looking at how we're producing the present data and how it matches up with some other data out there, the 3 roles are defined there. And Milner did his thing that he needs to do for that team. And he did very well and actually had a big hand in the goal. And Hendo did. So I thought, it's just these games are annoying because we tickled about, like you said, set pieces. We should have scored off. I mean, VVD, didn't he put one over from 6 yards? From
he
spot, right?
Absolutely laced it. Absolutely laced it, into the top tier.
and that's in the first phase of play, right? So again, another thing that we could do it, getting back to doing. We were extremely tight at the back. We were exceptional in getting them offside. I mean, Almiron breaks, that's offside, but it was, we do that. We play around. The other thing I thought we did really well here, away from home, is we move the ball between our 6 and the 2 centre halves at times to just kill the game. It's particularly when we want 1-0 up, we just pass the ball in that little triangle. Might go back to Bally, but we just kept the ball, but we just killed the clock. And that's again an element of control that we're going away. This is an away game. We were told that he's an informed side, and yet we didn't let him have the ball, and we just kept it there. So, and that I thought that was interesting. I thought, with a bit more finishing, this could have been 3-4-5. It was just annoying. I mean, Mane had 2 glorious chances. Jota should have squared it to Diaz. And that's just off the top of my head thinking of chances. So it was
another 66% possession away from home with 5 changes against a team that had been in form. I mean,
so everything we've been saying when we're doing the sports science, the rotation, the pressing in a limited amount of possession time. Yeah. So I don't know what the time was, but
was it 8? Was it 8 offsides or 9? Newcastle 9.
9 offsides. I mean, come on. They had the ball for 32 minutes of possession. So again, a limited amount of time for us to do our pressing thing in with a change midfield 3. So it worked. This is exactly why we are in the position we are in.
Yeah. Rhodesy, talk to me about that opening goal.
Yes, from a press, Dan.
Milner, I think.
In fact, didn't all the 3 big chances come from?
We had 4 big chances, I think, or three, from pressing in this game. 1.71 expected goals from pressing.
Oh, exactly what you want. Is that one of the highest? It must be.
Yeah, it's. I think it's going to be about. Man, we've had so many now this season of 1.5 expected. It's just nuts now. It's just you just become blasé about the whole thing. You say, "Oh, it's just another 1.7 xG from pressing," but most of it was on this Naby chance.
Through ball, yeah. And then had to have the composure to beat the keeper. Naby, he was kind of like gliding through the box. It was great to see, and he obviously just sticks it in. I was thinking, oh, please don't hit the players that were stood on the line. But I think he megs them. So,
but he takes it on his left in the end, doesn't he? He shoots on his.
It's a huge value shot, and when you do score early against a team that is limited in their ambition, you tend to think that they're going to have to come out at some point. But again, they didn't have any chance. But we just couldn't get that second one because it looked like the floodgates were about to open at any moment. But after getting the early goal, we just didn't get another. So the tension was still there until the end.
Yeah, just getting the level.
Just tension because we haven't had any tension in 4 games because we haven't conceded a big chance.
Yeah. So it was Milner who got the press for the Keita goal for the opener, and then
Did he get another one as well? Was it another one he got?
Mane got the one. There was one on 61 minutes from Mane. Keita and Fabinho group press for the Jota chance, and then Keita for the Diaz chance at the end when he sticks it wide.
Yeah. Pressing masterclass in the Villareal game, but there were elements to it in this as well, weren't there?
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that I think the themes of the match was it was definitely more of a defensive press. It wasn't go into the final third and let's take the game and camp on and create a red wall across the across the edge of their defensive third at all. It was much more defensive in nature and opportunistic. As Gag said, he collected it. It was a lot of it was caused by the second balls in our right back channel on Joe Linton, as Si said. So and then it was and Bart's put a brilliant little image in the group chat showing how that lines up as well. So a lot of it was more opportunities where it was, but we still got a lot out of the limited amount that we did press. We still got a lot from it in this match.
Is it fair to say, Darth, it was more of a containing mid press, if you get what I mean?
Mid to low, very much.
It wasn't like we didn't need to go and get the goal, if you get what I mean. It was like, right, we'll just press you to contain and stop you from doing anything, and then if we want to, we'll just hit you on the counter.
Yeah, and it was very much like Newcastle tried to press us. I mean, I would have loved if we had the chance, Rhodesy, get Clone you and collect Newcastle pressing in this game, because I think there would have been a lot of pressing fails.
It was singular, wasn't it? It was they were trying to press out. But I mean, did you see the time when VVD got pressed by 3 players? He dribbles past them all and just plays a 30-yard pass. I was like, it was a lot of it was singular pressing from them. That it wasn't as nuanced. It's not going to be as nuanced as us.
They were committing quite a lot of men up. They were, but not in a systematic way. No. So they were committing players. So once we could play through it, it was quite easy to get on top of their defence. Really, what I thought.
Yeah, because Darth, we had 60 pressures and F-bomb pressures, and they had 49, and we had all.
Sorry, Si, you cut out there.
We had 60 pressures in this game, stats bomb pressures, and they had 49, and we had all of the ball.
Yeah.
So they statistically didn't pressure us. We had 680 touches, and they pressured us. They pressured us with 6% of those.
Okay. And maybe it's because I was the last two games with Villareal and Everton. They hadn't attacked us at all, so maybe I was getting carried away with how much they were actually pressing us.
No, they were centred. If you go on the stats bomb stuff, 53% of their presses were in defensive third.
Okay.
So
yeah, it was very singular up top, and it was mainly defensive.
One of the big tactical changes was that we backed off because we put so you can't high press unless your 8s are engaged. No. And we dropped Naby to basically for the second phase of whatever happened with Joelinton. So Gomez or Matip were there to head the ball, and we dropped Naby onto the toes of Joelinton to pick up whatever happens next. So he can't press.
That was after the goal, wasn't it, Si?
It was about 20 minutes in.
Yeah.
Should we talk about Naby Keita in this game? He was top presser for us again. He got a bit the goal as well. He's just in the form of his Liverpool career right now, isn't he, Si?
Yeah, he looks amazing. That goal was unbelievable. It was all by him. He was the guy that was forcing their instability in the first half an hour of the game. He was everywhere. His touch is always so progressive. He when he gets it, he's on the half turn. He is already ready to go and grab them by the throat. There's nothing passive about him. I think he's wonderful, and he definitely is at his best right now.
No, he is.
There's loads of high value wins as well, aren't they, Dan, from Naby for the pressing?
Yeah, he was. I'm just trying to look for the chart now.
11 from 25.
Yeah, but he's always been a pressing win, possession win monster right from his first season. It's never gone on. One thing I do want to talk about, Barts, is you wanted to keep an eye on it before the match, which is Guimaraes. He looks like a decent player in terms of a playmaker, and we definitely did a job on him. And considering it was a low pressing performance from us, 35 targets on Guimaraes.
Yeah, he rightly or wrongly, he'd been getting a lot of the praise pre-press, and in the Cascade report, a lot of their players seemed to be going through him in the position. I think he'd played deeper in a lot of the previous games, but so it was interesting to see what the matchup would be for us when he played. Yeah, he played the 6 in the last outing against Norwich. Right. So that was interesting that he moved him further forward. But so it was great actually to see us, nullify is the wrong word, I think just force him differently. So he wasn't playing his usual game, forcing him forward. They were trying something else. But I think your pass map there shows the targets on him, right?
Yeah, well, Milner particularly. I mean, one thing when Milner plays left day, the thing I always like is that he's got that really good balance with Robertson for a start.
Yeah,
and that's a natural thing because Milner spent an entire season playing the left back, probably. But in this game, he was very much Guimaraes was very much in his zone, and he stuck to him. And all the 12 of those 13 targets Milner had were in the first half.
Yeah.
But he did a similar job. He did a similar job on Kante in the League Cup final when he came on there for the last half an hour. He absolutely got in Kante's face and basically just didn't give him any time on the ball. And when you've got a talented playmaker like Guimaraes, I think that's a pretty sensible tactic, isn't it, Bart?
No, I know, I do. I think you look at it, and he came into the side. He did the job. That's what he does. He's tasked with shutting down their playmaker. That's what he did. He forced Shelby and the others to be on the ball more, and you saw the effect. They created, was it 0.2, whatever the XG was, and nullified it. So yeah, I think Milner does that for a limited period of time. He knows his body, and he can do that role. He's very good at knowing what he can and can't do. And as I said, and he had a key contribution for the goal. So yeah, I thought it was one of his better performances recently, should we say? Although I don't quite understand the crying at the end, but anyway.
Bit of love for Joe Gomez, Si. I think he was considering he's coming in cold here. The kid, he's not played much this season, really. This was a pretty tremendous performance, wasn't it, from Joe?
I thought he's played really well. And I think he's played really well most of the games. He had one shaky period, maybe Arsenal or something like that in the cup early in the season when he's working his way back to fitness. But I didn't expect to ever see him play right back again after his injury, and he's doing a really good job at it.
There was at
one point, didn't there, when he cuts it back from Arne, little dribble, quality pass.
That I didn't expect that. I didn't think he had that pass in his locker. That was a lovely cutback, I thought.
Yeah.
He's just a good footballer. Like, we're spoilt by Trent, and because he's not Trent, he's not a Grok, he's not Tony Adams out there. He's a Rolls Royce of a centre back.
Yeah,
he's a quality defender. Full stop.
Brilliant centre back.
Yeah.
Agreed.
But because we've got Canate, Matip, and VVD, his opportunities are limited there. It's just the sad state of affairs for him, isn't it? That's all.
I think he's a victim of his injury. I think if he hadn't been injured and we'd have bought Canate and he'd have still kept his place. It's just that he was coming back from his injury, and the other two lads don't deserve to get dropped at this point because they've worked their way above him. That's all. I don't think Canate is of greatest quality. It's just opportunity because of his injury.
Yeah, I think we're going to try and keep him the next season.
I think it's absolute madness if we let Joe Gomez.
Agreed.
I think he's down to the player as well.
Yeah.
Because I agree with you, so I'd be nuts to let him go, but he might want to play at the World Cup.
If I was Joe Gomez, I would demand to.
Just broke up there, Si.
Yeah. Rhodesy, quick one to come to you. Alan Saint-Maximin, how would you feel if he was wearing a Liverpool jersey watching him? How would he make you feel as a fan?
Oh, absolutely drive you mental, wouldn't he? He couldn't play in our team. He's got a lot of skill on the ball. Obviously, he's absolutely lightning fast, so he's got the attributes. It's like the Adama Traore syndrome, isn't it?
Yeah.
He
was a bit of a bunny, I think, for the pressing. We just let him have it.
Around him know what he's going to do. I'm not sure he does at times, and lots of blind alleys, a lot of work there. But yeah, very.
Like Gag said, we just let him have it, closed him down, and then just wait for him to turn the ball over. He's like, it was a bit of a blind alley, I think, for him. In terms of in the pressing trap, it was one we didn't even have to proactively engage with him. We just had to shadow him.
What would he be like in a good team, though?
I don't know. Yeah. I think he needs a lot more. He needs to improve his decision making.
I guess he's going to have. I guess we'll have the chance to test this theory, because Newcastle will be the petri dish, won't they? Because the assumption is that they're going to buy lots and lots of good players. So Maximum will stay, and then we'll have to see what happens to his level of his game, won't we?
Yeah.
Because you got the assumption has got to be the Newcastle are going to go out and buy a load more players like Kieran Trippier, yeah? That kind of level of player. No, he's good. Trippier's a good player. Anyway, and Guimaraes.
Haven't they got our stats block guy up there, or is that?
Oh, they got Dan Ashworth. Yeah,
I was going to say I wouldn't have thought he would profile older players to come and build a project. Personally,
the great West Bromwich Albion's Dan Ashworth.
He's a good director of football.
England and Brighton.
Have you seen Brighton's recruitment? Don't knock it, man.
No, I'm just saying with Trippier, he is a good player, but he's an older player, right?
I think they signed him before they appointed. I think that he was signed.
Yeah, true. I agree. He's a good player.
I was on gardening leave. Dan did all the work.
Okay.
I just think they'll go for a 2024 type player. They want to build a side, not have older players in who are there for the money.
Yeah.
Personally.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's like you're not going to do that by getting the players 28, 30 that way on high wages. That's not how you build a side.
Yeah, but I think put in contrast to Fasai's point, we will get to see St. Maximin play with better players and see if he is actually any good.
If you look at what City did, City bought loads of Trippiers, and then they gradually started to buy better players.
They did.
Moved up the league.
They also bought Roque Santa Cruz and Joe.
And what's that Brazilian guy that they brought him in?
Robinho,
yeah. But that was before they had proper structure in place, right?
Yeah,
they didn't have analytics.
Robinho was the best player in the world at the time.
Yeah.
Exactly. And obviously the first thing that the Newcastle got to do next year is get rid of John Joe Shelby. Yeah,
you've got to do a lot of things. I mean, I'd start with the centre halves as well.
Yeah. Right. Any other business on the Newcastle match? Say.
Nope.
Barts?
Nope.
Rhodesy?
No, mate.
In that case, it's another game tomorrow. It's another game. We will be back next Monday for the doubleheader of Villareal and Spurs. And until then, up the Reds.
We hope you enjoyed listening to this Anfield Index show. Please be sure to subscribe to our channel so future podcasts find their way to your device automatically. There's nothing quite like fan engagement, and we'd love to know what you think of anything discussed on this show. The best way to get in touch is over on our free Discord community, where both podcasters and listeners debate the hottest LFC topics 24/7. Sign up free now at AnfieldIndex.com/Discord. You won't regret it. You can also follow us on Twitter at Anfield Index and find us on Facebook by searching for Anfield Index. Oh, and before you go, we'd love it if you could leave us a 5-star review on your favourite podcast app. It only takes a couple of seconds, and it means the world to the people who create these free shows.